So thank you, Rushanak. The next one on stage is actually me. I will talk about XPAI. I've already introduced the topic a little bit earlier. And I mean, we all know that customers would be willing to pay a premium for a good experience. I mean, studies are showing that it's actually 86%. The problem is, what's an experience, right? I mean, how are we measuring it? I mean, if we take a look at what we are doing today, that's what we are trying to do, right? I mean, the worst thing is that somebody's standing at the exit with a questionnaire and asking you, so how was this event, right? I mean, the problem is it's super annoying, almost no one is answering it, and the data is pretty questionable. The thing that is rather common nowadays is the one that we are seeing on top. You're getting an email after the event asking, how was this event? Or you're going into a store, they're asking you, how was the experience at the store? Same problem here, almost no one is answering this. And I was checking my inbox. I honestly received over 200 of like these emails. I stopped counting after 200 just in the last year with like these net promoter score kind of questionnaires. I mean, the more advanced kind of people are trying to do what we are seeing in the upper right corner. So you're trying to understand heat maps, especially in retail, right? So you're putting like these sensors at the top of your store, and then you're trying to understand how people are moving in your store. Also fine. The problem is the correlation here. I mean, like, what does it tell you that people are standing at a certain point much longer? It could be that you have queues there. It could be that it's like the only spot where you can make a call, where you have connection, whatever. So, I mean, correlation of data is pretty questionable. A lot of us are also trying to solve this problem by taking other data sources, right? For example, I'm saying, hey, whatever, if you're going to XPAI.io/computer vision summit and buy my product, right? I mean, then whatever, I know that you're coming like from this event, and I'm trying to attribute whatever the sales or whatever I'm trying to do here to this event, right? I mean, the problem is if you're going to the root domain, if you're going to XPAI.io, I'm losing the information that you're actually coming from this talk, and now I can say, hey, whatever, I'm taking all the traffic which is coming from London, whatever today, and the next 2 days is attributed into this event. But also this one is like pretty questionable when it's coming to measuring the experience. Last thing that we can do is like we can just measure the output, right? And we can just say, okay, what's the revenue, right? For example, in a retail context, I can say, okay, whatever, if I have more money in whatever today than yesterday, then today customers had a better experience than yesterday. Okay, might be, might not be. Only in Germany we are spending 714 million each year to understand customer experience, to understand if customer like what we are doing. And reality is that we are spending time, money, and energy just to receive data that doesn't give us answers. So I gave you a quick background of Avant-Garde and where I'm coming from. So again, repeating it, I mean, we are like the leading brand experience agency. So that means we are running live marketing campaigns for customers, for enterprise customers. And again, we always get like the question at the end, so how was it? And there's no solution to it. So we actually spent 2 years of research and development to solve this problem. And it's actually not very trivial to solve, because you need to go through all these layers to actually come up to a solution. First of all, you need to start with the bottom, with the industry knowledge. So first of all, you need to understand what is an experience. And when I started to work on this topic, I've read a lot of research papers about it, and it's crazy. I mean, there's like so much that you can do. We actually ended up with something very, very simple, which is based on the fact that customers are buying products they like. Customers are loyal to brands they have positive moments with. That's what our product is like based on this simple formula. On top of this, we needed to work out data security. So, I mean, if you want to measure experience, if you want to measure how you guys like what I'm doing here, it's clear that I'm processing personal data in one way or the other. So it's clear that there will be a data privacy problem, a data privacy, or there will be data privacy concerns that we need to take into consideration. So we started pretty early on to actually think about how we could actually build a solution that would work within the European Union, because that's our core market. Then it's pretty clear, as we are doing it live, right? I mean, we're not doing anything online, we're doing it in the real world, we're doing it in physical spaces, that we need hardware. So we needed to work around things like, okay, are there solutions that we can buy out of the box, whatever, if there's not, right? I mean, how are we actually finding like the components that we need? I mean, I can already tell you we are building it by ourselves. So we needed to find a carrier board, needed to find like the right kind of processor for us. We needed to find the right image sensor, the right kind of lens for this image sensor, etc. So like the full kind of cycle of hardware development. Then clearly you need to have software. As we are having hardware in the wild, we need to solve like the problem of how to actually distribute kind of software updates over the air to our hardware. And I mean, we are releasing very, very often, more than once a week for sure. So we need to make sure that we are having like a way of doing it. We needed to have a secure way of doing it. We also need to make sure that whatever our software is secure, that nobody can open the hardware and stealing the source code from the device. And of course, last but not least, we needed to build the respective models to actually detect perception and engagement. And what we have built is what I've tried to visualize on this slide. We have built a solution that enables us to measure at the end two things: perception and engagement. So perception is like for us, like purely, do you like it or do you not like it? So it's like your perception is like your emotional reaction to what I'm doing here, positive, negative, or neutral. That's everything we are trying to find out. Seems easy, it's not. And engagement is, we are trying to find out, are you focused, right? So am I your focal point or not? Because what I want to understand at the end is, okay, you have a positive moment, but you're watching like your smartphone and smiling because of this, right? So so we are trying to measure these two things, and then we are adding demographic data on top, right? So we try to understand, who is this person? Is this like a 30-year-old female, or is this like a 50 to 60-year-old male? So that's the data that we are trying to get for every person, every single second in a physical room. But at the end, you don't care about like this single person in this single second. What you care about is like a number, right? I mean, a number that tells you, is this good or bad, right? I mean, is this talk I'm giving here good or bad? Is it better than your talk, or is it better than whatever, like the next talk? And for this purpose, we have built the experience score, which goes on top of like this measurement that I've just explained to you. So we're taking all these observations and combine them into one single number that we call experience score. And I mean, you can think about it like the Net Promoter Score. So we're like taking all the positives, all the negative observations, all the neutral ones. We are removing the neutral ones and putting the positive and negative kind of observations into relation to each other, which means 100% of the time, 100% positive reaction, score of 10, 100% of the time, negative reaction, score of 0, 50-50, score of 5. That's oversimplified. I mean, clearly we do some weighting. As I explained, we are, for example, measuring the engagement. So whatever, if you're 100% engaged, 100% focused to what I'm doing, this observation goes with 100% weight into like this calculation. If you're doing something else, you're watching whatever somewhere else, it's 0%. And why is this actually the most important thing and the most important number that you could get? Because at the end, I mean, all what we're doing is like in a commercial context. It's not a wedding or whatever, right? So at the end, it's always about selling something or whatever. It's like something more indirect. I want people to talk about my product on Instagram, on LinkedIn or whatever. But at the end, it's like I want that people are doing it because I want to sell my product. And buying decisions are emotional decisions. I mean, there's like so many kind of like research about it, and it's a fact. Buying decisions are emotional decisions. So otherwise, well, like whatever, none of us would have like an iPhone here because we know there are cheaper, better products out there, but we are like fans of like Apple, and that's why we are buying their product. I've said like one of the problems is actually data privacy, and that was maybe one of the hardest ones at the beginning to solve it. I have one device here. I will give it around so you can take a look at it. The core problem like we had is like, yeah, we are processing personal data, right? I mean, we are processing the faces of like people. So how are we solving it? The problem is the classical approaches didn't work, right? I mean, you cannot make like a picture with an IP camera and send it to the cloud. This won't work. Even like the classical edge approach didn't work for us. I mean, you cannot have like an edge server and like an IP camera and sending the camera even in a local network. So the only way for us was building a device that is processing the data in the millisecond it's created. So in the millisecond, like the light hits the sensor, this data needs to be analyzed and it should never be stored. And that's what we have built. That's like our XPAI sensor. And as you can see, it just has like two connectors. It has internet, it has power. That's everything you can do. That's also everything I can do. If it's not working, it's not working. There's no way in, there's no HDMI, no USB, nothing. The software is like burned at the moment, like we are creating like this hardware, and that's it. And that's actually like kind of like the trick how we can do it in a compliant way, and how we can also do it in a way without the need that I need to ask you for consent. So I can put this device here and can track all of you, because per definition I'm not processing personal data. The only time I'm process personal data is in this millisecond where the light hits the sensor. But as this like image never gets created, at least in the European Union, this is not falling under GDPR, so I don't need your consent. And on top of this, we have built like an analytics platform where you can actually analyze all this data, and I will try to quickly give you a demo of this. If we can maybe switch to the view I'm having, perfect. So that's how our customers see the data. I will quickly switch to a live view. It's like sample data that we are pushing into our platform. So what you can see here is like actually how the end user would see the data, right? So what you can see, whatever like the last 10 minutes for whatever this is, I think that's like our office in Berlin. The experience score for male was a 7. The experience score of like female is an 8. Perfect. Seems that I'm having happy kind of like people there in the Berlin office. I can also see the number of facial expressions we have analyzed in like whatever each time frame. I can see the engagement. I can see what's the experience in the different areas, like what's the experience, whatever, in the WeWork versus our other office in Berlin. I can see how the positive emotions are developing over time. I can see how the negative emotions are developing over time. And I can see the emotional profile by demographic groups. So I can see whatever like that, for example, male presenting people between 20 to 29 have like an extremely high share of positive emotion and a pretty small amount of negative emotions, while whatever the group of male presenting 30 to 39 have a pretty high share of negative emotion compared to positive emotions. So at the end, I'm getting like a toolkit to analyze kind of my physical setup. I get an understanding who is there, right? So I like understand what's the gender split, what's like the age. I'm getting an understanding how they are perceiving it, right? I mean, do they like it? Do they not like it? I can whatever slice and dice the data in the way I want to see it. I can take a look at whatever by time frame, right? I can say whatever, how is it right now? How was it yesterday? Whatever, how was it over the last 7 days? So that I can see kind of trends as showing here. I can see it in real time. I can compare data, right? So I can put whatever yesterday versus the day before. And I don't want to run you like through everything, but something that is super cool is that you can actually run A/B test in live setups. And I mean, that's like very, very powerful because the problem is, I mean, let's think about a retail store. I mean, how do you know what is actually working? I mean, reality is it's pure guesswork. I mean, it's like whatever, like even like the big retailers, they are going somewhere into a laboratory and then they are trying to find out whatever the light intensity, the background music, whatever, but it's never real life where they are testing these things. With XPAI now you can. I mean, you can run and you can test your hypothesis. I mean, you can say, what's the impact of low red light versus low blue light? And then at the end, right, I mean, we all know how what Bayesian A/B testing is like working in the back, right? So all of this kind of like math is like hidden for you. So you get like at the end this core kind of like fundamental kind of result that tells you whatever, in this case it would be blue light is way better, and it's 98% probable that this setup will result in a 100% better experience, because the experience for red light would be an experience score of 4. With blue light, it would be an 8, so 100% improvement, and this was 98% probability. So what can I do with this data, right? I mean, that's like all cool, and for us who are like having more technical background, that's all super cool. Can we switch back to the presentation quickly? So what can I do with this data? That's an example of a retail store. So first of all, I can find the non-performing elements, right? So I mean, I can whatever cut my room into different zones, and then whatever I know, whatever that like the average kind of experience score across all my zones is like a 5. So I'm now having like one area of my retail store that's a 4, right? So that's something that needs my attention. So I need to find the things that are actually performing under, which are actually underperforming, so which are below my average. And this could be a zone, it could be a specific time of the day, it could be a specific demographic group, right? I mean, it might be that whatever, like everyone likes my store, but whatever female between 30 to 40 don't like it. So what can I do to make it better, right? So first thing, I can find non-performing things and I can start optimizing them. The second use case I've already shown to you, it's actually the A/B testing. And that's actually super powerful, because the main problem of offline marketing or live marketing in comparison to online marketing is that you don't have the same toolkit, right? I mean, what makes like, I mean, why everyone's like shifting kind of budgets from offline to online is for the reason that you have like a structured approach of like improving kind of your setups, right? I mean, also when I'm starting an ad campaign, I also don't know which works best, right? I mean, whatever, I have one opinion, you have the other opinion, but we can A/B test it, right? So we can start improving our campaigns, but that's not possible offline. Not without XPAI. With XPAI, it's possible, because now you can start, I mean, you have identified the problematic areas. You have whatever, like, identified kind of the groups that are underperforming, and now you can come up with hypotheses, right? I mean, you can come up like with ways how to improve it, and now whatever, like the cool thing is, offline you can do so much things. You can play with music, you can play with light, you can play with whatever the content on the screens in a store, right? I mean, you can whatever, test different kind of promotions, etc. So there's so much you can do to actually improve it. The next thing you can do with it is like you can actually get real market research data and not data from the laboratory. And you can personalize the experience. I mean, I've shown you, we have the data in real time. So I know which kind of demographic group is in a physical location. And by knowing this, I can personalize the physical setup. I can personalize the room, I can personalize the retail store, I can whatever, personalize this talk here. And I mean, like it's again, right? I mean, it's not a personalization on a per person level, it's a demographic-based personalization. So I can say whatever, for example, like for male, I should have orange light, for female, I should have some purple light, I should whatever show advertisement A versus advertisement B, etc. I mean, the same thing like we are having online, right? I mean, if we're going to Amazon, we don't see like the same product recommendations. So same thing we can now transfer into the offline world. And I mean, if you don't know which kind of setup works best for the respective demographic group, you can fall back to the A/B testing and test it. What we can do on top, but that's rather like kind of a side feature that we're having, is we can, especially in the retail context, we can do quality checks 24/7, right? So we could check, hey, are all the products there? Are like there enough products, right? And if they're not there, we can automatically trigger certain actions. For example, whatever, informing the store manager that whatever product is missing, or even go as far to automatically trigger a restock order. Thanks a lot, everyone. I think we now have a coffee break if there are no questions from you. Questions or coffee? There's a question. Yeah.
Okay. You say that you have like everything in the hardware?
Yeah, it's everything happening on the hardware.
Okay, what about if you want to integrate a new algorithm? For example, Amol say that he wants to track the dogs, like a pet friendly. How you can integrate this new algorithm if everything is in the hardware?
I mean, we can automatically deploy a kind of new software to the hardware over the air. I mean, and that's what we are doing. I mean, on a weekly basis. I mean, we have like multiple models running, right? And I mean, we are deploying like a new version almost every week of like each of these models, so we can easily integrate like a new model into our pipeline if it's needed.
What about if I have already the cameras? Can I use that cameras, or do I have to buy your?
Yeah, I mean, it's just working this way. I mean, the problem is like also if you use your cameras, you would automatically be in breach with GDPR. I mean, I had like super long discussions with like a lot of lawyers and actually the official authorities in Germany. The problem is, at the moment you have two things, right? I mean, you have physically two things. You have a camera and you have an edge server. It's a problem. I mean, I have like discussed it, and I mean, the problem is, I mean, you need to combine it. It needs to be physically one thing, then it's fine. But if it's two, I mean, you can try it. It's gray area, but I mean, you're running the risk that in front of court they are saying, okay, you have like reached GDPR, and then yeah, I mean, you know the fines for this problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh wow, so many questions. Yeah.
Hi. Because you're not storing any sort of user data or anything there, how do you verify the quality of the results you get back?
Sorry, how do I do what?
How do you verify, like from time to time, that you're getting quality results, that the system is generating you results you can trust?
Yeah, super tough. It's super tough because, I mean, if I would put the devices here, I mean, I wouldn't store an image, right? So I cannot verify if the results are right or wrong. And what we are actually doing is we are hosting certain events, right? I mean, as I said, like we are like a big group of like agencies that are actually running live marketing campaigns. So we are actually having certain events where we're using our software, where we are getting like this specific kind of consent of the users to store the data, and we are using these events to actually verify that what we are giving back is correct. I mean, on the other hand, I mean, you can always run a certain human judgment, right? I mean, when I have the data, for example, of today, right, and I see, okay, it's 99% female, I mean, I can take a look that it's wrong, right? So I know that it's wrong, but I mean, it doesn't help me to actually make the algorithm better. I just know that it's wrong. Any other?
So when the customers are entering the shops, are they aware that they are being analyzed? And if yes, do you know if it has an impact on the experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with CCTV cameras, right? So you're informing by having like a text at the entrance door. I mean, the question is how many people are reading like kind of like this notification. It's most likely 1%, but I mean, it's following kind of the same principle. You're informing that it's there at the entrance door, and that's it.
And do you know if it has an effect on the experience, that people know that they are being analyzed?
Yeah, I mean, I think like reality is like that. I mean, you're putting it there, but people are not reading it. I mean, I'm not sure if this actually has an impact. We never tried to measure it in like any way. Yeah.
Thanks, Carl. My question is, so when you're initially training a data set, you're probably going to get like actors or people within the business to do, hey, big smile, look sad. But in reality, in the real world, people are going to have a lot more slightly neutral facial expressions. How are you looking to make the model better to detect maybe slight smile or, you know, less enthusiastic emotions?
Yeah, I mean, that's indeed a problem. I mean, like reality is like that whatever 90% of human kind of emotional reaction is neutral, right? So there's just roughly 10% left that you can, or that we are using. And we indeed, like we have like models which are measuring the intensity of like positive and negative reactions. I mean, actually, the thing is, positive is very easy, right? I mean, because you can get it with like a smile. Is it like a little bit smiling, or is it like, right? I mean, are you smiling a lot, right? Like right now. I mean, the problem is rather really the negative emotions, right? And I mean, every one of you who have like ever dealt with kind of emotion detection would know it's super hard, right? I mean, to actually distinct like these kind of like negative emotions. That's also why we cutted this out, right? I mean, we are just trying to understand if it's negative and not if you're sad or if you're whatever, or have like any other kind of negative emotional reaction. But that's way harder. I mean, we have like this kind of intensity also on the negative side, but clearly it's working way better on the positive side. But to be honest, it's also the same for us as like humans, right? I mean, if you want to say, whatever, is Carl now, whatever, 5% happy, or is he 50% happy, or is he 100% happy? Okay, that's something you would get, right? You would just look, how much is he smiling? But if I'm asking, okay, how much negative is Carl? It would actually become very, very hard for you to actually judge this.
Following up on that, so there are a lot of public data sets for emotion detection. Are they good enough for your purposes, or do you need to create like custom data sets and really do what Anthony just described of like photographing colleagues, customers?
To be honest, it depends. I mean, there are some data sets that are good, some data sets that are rather not so good. I mean, we are using a combination indeed. I mean, we are using partially public data sets, but I mean, like for almost all of them, we have relabeled them again and checked them against the initial labeling, and there you would already see a lot of kind of differences. But also here, it's extremely hard sometimes to label data. I mean, if it's coming to emotions, that's rather easier. But for example, when it's coming to age, I mean, if I would put you here a picture, it's extremely hard to actually judge the age of a person. I mean, clearly you can say, is this person whatever rather like 15 to 30, or is this like whatever 30 to 60? But if you need to say if a person is 20 to 29 or 30 to 39, that's extremely tough. And I mean, you can even run 100 labelers on these images. I mean, it's pretty hard to get it right. But I mean, to answer your question, we have a combination of public data, we have created by ourselves, and we are labeling on top of the public data sets.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yes?
Yeah, I was kind of curious as to the size of the data set that you need for this to work.
Yeah.
How many data sets, like the volume, I mean, it's going to be a very intense labeling activity, right?
It's super intense, and I mean, even though we are working like for 2 years on this, I mean, clearly, I mean, creating more data is like the core of our business. I mean, we are at the moment having roughly 10 million kind of like pictures per kind of model that we are training at the moment, right? So we have like gender, age, emotion, etc. So it's roughly 10 million we are at, and then we are augmenting on top of this data, right? But that's kind of like what we're having at the moment. But I mean, we are kind of like pushing this consistently.
You must have quite a sizable human in the loop element to this thing.
100%, yeah, 100%. I would say one last question, because we're already over time. I think everyone would like to get a coffee.
Yeah, I would like to know the resolution you have on your device. I'm asking because it sounds like it'll be possible to put this device on like billboards and show personalized billboard depending on the larger percentage of the people around that area.
Sorry, I didn't get it 100%. If I got it right, you asked for the resolution, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, like the device, by the way, it would be great, there it is, if I would get it back at the end. I mean, to be honest, like the current version of the device has like a 12 megapixel sensor, and then we have a motorized zoom lens on top, right? I mean, to actually be able to adapt for the different kind of use cases. Reality is, it's not good enough. Why is it not good enough? Because with a 12 megapixel lens, you can never ever cover like with one camera a room like this. And I mean, the problem is we have sometimes setups with 20,000 square meters, and whatever one kind of like device can cover roughly 40 to 45 kind of square meters. So that's kind of one big problem. So that's why we are already working on a version 2 where we would put multiple kind of like image sensors in, and then we are having liquid lenses on top of it. I mean, I don't know the ones of you who are dealing like with hardware, but I mean, liquid lenses, it is what you find today in your mobile phones, right? I mean, the mobile phones can actually focus within milliseconds, and whatever like this motorized lens, right? I mean, they really have a mechanical part that needs to move, so it's like, I mean, you have problem, right? Because it can break, etc. So in like the next version that we already working on, that we will release beginning of next year, they would have more image sensors, like to cover a larger area, and we would remove this kind of like motorized lens with the liquid lens, and to also save some space.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot, everyone.